Back. Euphoria season 3, episode 1. This particular Euphoria episode or season, the starting or Euphoria episode remind me of three movies. That's The Studio, directed by Matt Ramrick, and also Breaking Bad, and that's Breaking Bad. That's by Vince Gilligan, and this movie Blink Twice. So if you take this movie in particular, these are the three movies that I see in this Euphoria movie. So it's obviously some of the inspirations from the movie uh, was taken from either Breaking Bad, Blink Twice, and The Studio. Now let's go into the movie. So starting the movie, you Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Euphoria season 3, episode 1. This particular Euphoria episode or season, the starting or Euphoria episode remind me of three movies. That's The Studio, directed by Matt Ramrick, and also Breaking Bad, and that's Breaking Bad. That's by Vince Gilligan, and this movie Blink Twice. So if you take this movie in particular, these are the three movies that I see in this Euphoria movie. So it's obviously some of the inspirations from the movie was taken from either Breaking Bad, Blink Twice, and The Studio. Now let's go into the movie. So starting the movie, it will come somewhere in Chihuahua where Zendaya is trying to cross the border from America to Mexico, so somewhere in Chihuahua, and you see on the car is tempered with because it doesn't use normal sparking, it uses wires. So that's how it comes. So he's trying to cross the border from America to Mexico using a tempered car, And that's where he faced an obstacle here because he couldn't cross, so he was forced to get up from the car and go, and he was using an illegal immigration. So obviously he will leave the car behind there. But when time goes on in the movie, Laurie will ask her where is the car she gave to her. And this particular scene is a very cinematic movie when he left the car and a bird came to stand on the car, and obviously the car decided to take a dicey swing, like it became an echo, and they wrote Euphoria on there. So on his way to the city where he's going, that's New Mexico, she will meet a couple of people, but this in particular is where she met a family that were a rancher family that worker. So in the prayer session, she lied to the family that is a college student that is working on a college newspaper. So in the prayer session, they will pray for this, and you see that's where it comes inside, and they will give him an address of the 10 commandments. Then they will write the address on it and say that's our address or our number if you want to reach us. That's where he began to know more about Jesus Christ. So when I say this movie reminds me of Breaking Bad, mostly when taking off from the place he went to lodge for some time as a college student, you see from here that all the scenes is like Breaking Bad when Mike and Better Call Saul, that's Odenkirk, was trying to go and take money from the desert and around. And it's mostly the cinematic scenes in this particular shot is more or less like from the Euphoria, particularly this ones, That's what makes it one of the reasons why I say this movie reminds me of more of Euphoria. So I'll not be surprised if this movie, a part of it was taken from the Euphoria, all the cinematic scenes. Sorry, not Euphoria, Breaking Bad, So he will reach America where he's going. So she'll get to meet, she will reach her destination. That's Laurie's place. So afterwards, when he reached there, obviously ask the parrot to go. The parrot to make noise for Laurie to hear, and she will come and address her. But here is where the movie starts. So yeah, Laurie asked Zendaya that where is his car, and he said he left it there, and he said he would just add it to the tab. His tab. That's where the movie particularly started because he added as a cost he's paying for. It's a few years after high school. She was working at a smoke shop, and this one worked to him to buy something, and he exchanged it for her. And rightly afterwards, someone dropped, and better to look his face was Laurie. Uh-huh. So obviously the expression on her face though, it was like he wasn't expecting him, and at the same time he was maybe expecting someone to come. So he starts the irony on his face, knowing perfectly that he owes her. She starts with a smile or a happily or some face like that, and ended up with more of surprising faces. You get me? And a down with face. So Laurie will say he owes her money, and
months ago. And now $10,000 at a 20%.
so talking to Laurie, like going back and forth with her that she owes me money, and she said, "Yeah, I know, I'm gonna pay back." Then a car will pull over to cause more attention to her, as she always know Laurie. So she said he owed Laurie 10 grand, and that's when Laurie decided to talk about the money. So let's go.
You
Say,
don't owe me 10 grand,
46 months ago, and now $10,000 at a 20% monthly interest rate over 46 months means that you actually owe me $43,887,000.
now let's do this calculation. Laurie said he owed her 10 grand. That's 10 grand, but per interest and all that, she will add everything to. So she did 46 months. 46 months is obviously more than 3 years or so. So 3 years interest of 10 grand is plus 20% monthly interest rate, and he's calculating that to he calculated that amount to $43 million. It's obviously he's duping the lady because it's not up to that money, because when you calculate it bit by bit, it will not reach that money, because 10 grand with an interest within 3 years with an interest it's even funny. 10 grand within 3 years with an interest rate of 20% every monthly will never reach $43 million. So she will be like she's doing her a favor. So she will try to reduce the money to $100,000, and that's where she will decide he will begin to work for the drug money, like drug cartel. So she will work as someone who takes drugs and cross border with it, obviously to make money and pay for the debt she owes. So Laurie will let her bring cocaine or something, drugs. He swallowed the drugs and cross border with it. So she brought one of his friends to it, that business. Let's take this scene. This scene is when he decided to swallow the balls, then cross border with it.
The danger of body packing is.
Sorry.
So now, after First Coast is dead, this is his new gang that she has gotten. That's Laurie and his people, and he also brought Faye. Faye too decided to do. Faye is also from the previous season. It's obviously more or less like a junkie. So anything concerning drugs and cattle, she will join or she will add herself to it. So when they brought it, they decided to have a good time with them. Yes, so that means they work to continue to pay the $43 million that he reduced to $100,000. And as the movie continues, sometimes when she has nowhere to sleep, she'll go to Lexi's place and she'll go and sleep on the couch for Lexi, of Lexi, and when they talk more about how life is going after school, where he's doing college or what is he doing for now. And this is how Cassie will be introduced into the movie. So in this first episode, after the second episode, Cassie is married to his boyfriend that they were married with. But Lexi, before that, Lexi works in a movie show. That's how I said this movie reminds me of The Studio. So if you watch The Studio, it was filmed on the sets, like on set of maybe California or Hollywood films. So this is exactly the same thing. This scene of the movie is also shot on the California scene as The Studio. So that's why I said this movie reminds me of three movies. That's The Studio, Breaking Bad, and Blink Twice. Lexi is deciding to be a after marrying to her boyfriend, he decided to be a social media influencer, which will later end her in trouble because she's trying to be a TikTok famous, which will ended up being a nudity. So this particular scene is one of the scenes that got most of the attention of the public, you know. And Lexi from the previous seasons, you can know that Lexi Lexi is more or less like a nudity character in this particular scene, like in this particular movie. And you know, Nate is married to Nate Jacobs, and Nate Jacobs too is also taken his dad's job to a new level. That is working as a real estate agent. You know, that's how far the movie continues. So Nate and in this Nate and Lexi are trying to preparing to get married after they have been staying together as boyfriends and girlfriends.
Sugar baby? A hooker. But there's a difference, right? Sugar babies don't have sex. It's like Harry, a chef who doesn't cook. You ready? Very working management. Representing
And you know, this is where Maddie was also introduced into the new season 3. So it's also take a look at this scene. This scene also reminds us of the studio. You know, we obviously filmed on set as people were on set in the studio. So she's also working at the media as talent assistant or something like. So in this instance, Zendaya will come to meet this man that in the first season, the season 1 of the movie, he was taking advice from. Now, in this same instance that it happened in the same place, I mean, the same restaurant, he's also taking advice from him and sharing what he has with him and talking about how he met people on his way to New Mexico on the American border where they used to worship God. So he's trying to